Welcome to the FPV New Product Roundup for October 2022. I am your host, Joshua Bardwell, and this is my co-host. It's Blunty. Hey, Blunty.
Hey, Joshua, how's it going today?
Going good. I'm so happy to be sitting here with you to talk about new products that have come out in the last month in the world of FPV, so people can keep up with all the developments.
Yeah, we try to do this every month, and we get together and let people know what the newest and coolest products are, so they can hopefully make some informed decisions or just see cool stuff. Spend some time with us seeing cool stuff.
Yeah, and winning cool stuff. That's right. Toward the end of the video, we're going to do a giveaway of one of these items to a few winners, and you can find out more about that later in the video. But let's get right into it with our hottest, toppest products of the month. And then we'll go into the individual categories, flight controllers, frames, etc. And the first product we're looking at is the Runcam Wasp. Blunty, why is this a top product this month?
Well, so this is the top product, not just because it's a new DJI camera, but because it's a new DJI camera in the world where Caddx is no longer making DJI equipment. Runcam has released a new 120 FPS camera. We were worried about, support for that in the future if Caddx starts to fall off. And and that's what we've got with the new Runcam Link Wasp. Unfortunately, we have a couple caveats with this camera. We expect some things from 120 FPS cameras that we're not going to get with this camera. So people expect when they see 120 FPS up to this point, that's meant it has the AP1302 chip. So that meant it got the access to the extra features like white balance and
exposure,
all the other,
saturation.
All the other camera features in there and the camera modes.
The ability to switch between 4.3 and 16.9 is the other thing that I think people are going to be looking for.
Yeah, I think a few people are going to be upset. Like I personally fly 16.9, so this would be upset for me. Some people only fly 4.3, so or depending on where you're at there, that will definitely affect you here. Also, I'm not sure, but I think this doesn't have a 60 FPS mode either. I think it's only 120, but I'm not 100% sure on that one.
Like you said, in a world where maybe at some point in the future, Caddx would not be supplying DJI stuff anymore, this would be basically your only 120 FPS option. Having flown it, I'll spoil my review slightly and say, in my opinion, the image quality is acceptable. I wouldn't be mad if I had to fly this. I think the image quality of the Caddx Nebula Pro and the original DJI camera is a little superior. But this is less expensive. It's about $140 with the video transmitter, and the Nebula Pro is closer to like $165. So you're saving a little money. Maybe those missing features aren't a big deal to some people.
Yeah, the price on this almost feels like a 60 FPS camera where they've just like sort of exchanged what you're getting, right? So the 60 FPS, we get no features, and we get 60 FPS, and we get whatever that 16.9 aspect is. But now instead we're paying the same lower price. We're getting limited features, but it's the features most people will want. It's the 4.3 and 120. So it's kind of interesting.
Yeah, the camera is being sold by itself for $50. What does that compare to a Nebula Pro? Let me look. We don't want the Vista kit though. We just want the camera. That is $60. So I would say for $10 more, I would take the slightly better image quality of the Nebula Pro and the ability to adjust. Like I adjust the exposure on my DJI camera more than you might think. I find the default exposure is a little overexposed for some lighting conditions, and I'll bump it down. But that's just me. I got something, Blunty. This was going to go in our accessories at the very end of the video, and I was like, you know what? This is pretty cool. We're bumping it up to the front. I made an executive decision. A few people watching are going to be extremely excited about this. If you do cinematic flying and gyro flow, which to use gyro flow to stabilize your footage, then one of the problems you run into is that high-end cinema cameras like the Red Komodo or the Sony Zcam, those aren't even high-end cinema cameras, I know. They don't have gyro logging built in, and so a lot of people will buy a $300, $500 GoPro, and they'll stick it on top of their cinema camera, and the only purpose is to provide gyro data that they can then use to stabilize their footage. Well, that's what this is, except instead of using an expensive GoPro, it's made from a cheap Hakweye camera. It gives you video, but the real purpose is that you spend, looks like kit with camera, 119 pounds, kit only, no camera, 40 pounds. and you just stick it on there and it gives you the gyro data. And I think that's pretty freaking cool. All right, we got one more thing I wanted to put right up front because I'm a big fan of WeBleedFPV. Jeff Grabowski, the founder of that company, makes a lot of really good whoop-related stuff and runs a really good business. And the product we've got here is the DIY whoop gates and accessories. You want to tell us about it, Blenny?
Yeah, so last month we looked at the LED tube cube, which you can see on the sheet there. But basically, this month we're looking at the DIY set. So basically, this DIY set is sort of like the tube cube expanded, right? You can kind of expand it to everything you want to do. So you buy your whoop gate tubing, you get your DIY tubing, you get your fittings, and then basically you buy your LED strips and your whoop gate tape and whatever else you want to buy. You know, you buy your connector sets, and he's got all the pieces here, so you can kind of piece together the kit that you want. You got your power supplies and your LEDs and everything. And also, just so you know, if you're not aware, Jeff Grabowski runs this, Zotec FPV, and basically, if you email him, he can help you get together any kind of kit you need for any size place you need or anything you want. Like basically, he can help you know exactly what you need to buy here for bespoke. Or you can just kind of order as you need different sets of these tubes and fittings and all that kind of stuff to do custom stuff. So I think it's pretty cool that there's an option for custom stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, this is basically the stuff he was sourcing to make his own custom LED gates. And at some point he went, fine, you want to do it yourself? Here's all my parts. And it's just great. It just speaks to, you know, what a great business he's putting together there. He's not like, no, I won't tell anyone where I'm getting this stuff or what it is. He's like, you want to do the work yourself? Here you go. I'll sell it to you. And it's really nice. These kits are pretty easy to put together as it goes. He's done the legwork of finding all the parts that go together and then getting them all in one place so you don't have to pay shipping from 17 different stores. It's out of stock, etc. Very slick. If you want to make these, it's probably one of the most cost-effective ways to do it. That is our top products this month, Blunty. Now we're going to move into the flight controller and ESC category. And first up, we've got the DarwinFPV Hulk. You put this on the list. What are we looking at here?
Yeah, I think, you know, we try to definitely show anything that seems different or new in the industry. And to me, this definitely falls into that category. So this is what they're calling the Hulk. This is a 3 to 6S AIO, 45 amps. What would set this apart, so this is a SPI AIO, like your typical SPI AIO, but it's basically encased. And they claim that it is professionally waterproof with IP67. It's not 6.9, but it is 6.7. So that's pretty good.
What does that mean? What's 6.7? What's IP67 versus 6.9?
6.7, let me get the exact the wording on that. So that's where you can call it waterproof. 7 is short periods of immersion in water while under pressure. So it says it can be short immersion up to 1 meter. 9 is where you can do jets and like multiple meters and that sort of thing.
Fair enough. Probably more. It's more waterproof than my flight controller. That's
more waterproof than 90, I would say 90-something% of flight controllers is what it seems to be. That was their goal here. Definitely still waits for ingress, I think. But yeah, kind of interesting.
You would, of course, need to separately conformal coat the motor outputs after soldering to them. I can even see, though, it looks like they've even put some kind of waterproofing silicon sealant or something in here. That's
as far as I can tell, everything, it's going to be hard if you ever need to get in there for any reason, but it does appear that everything under there is all like siliconed so that it is sealed. So, yeah.
And we've got these plugs on top, which, of course, aren't waterproof, but a little bit of water between the 5-volt and the ground line is not going to really permanently damage anything. It's mostly the VBAT and the motor outputs that end up frying. So that's pretty slick.
Something to remember, this does seem like it's a little less usable than you would expect. So like when I saw this originally, I was like, oh, this is really cool. This seems like a full feature flight controller that's potted in so that it can be covered. But this actually is more like a Whoop AIO or something. Like it's 3 to 6S, but it's only got 2 UARTs. Just kind of an interesting choice on this. So
we've got camera here, VTX here.
Yeah, and then you've got your just the RX1 and RX2. So UART1 and
Fair
UART2.
enough. And if you are using it with DJI, you would be using one of those UARTs for your DJI or your HD0 or your Walksnail that's going to take one of those. Your receiver, if you're using a FreeSky receiver, you can use this S-Bus input, but if you're not using a FreeSky receiver, that's going to be your other UART, and then you're boned.
Well, it is SPI, so that then you're going to be deciding if it's like if the SPI ELRS is worth the.
It's ELRS. I missed that.
Yes.
Oh, that's fine. Express LRS is fine. Yeah, I'm happy with that. $130.
I mean, it's an AIO, so as long as it holds up, I think it's okay for that price. That seems like relatively reasonable. It actually doesn't say Express LRS anywhere, but it has a SX1281, and the target is SX1280, so there's no chance it's anything else, really, but I don't know why it's not listed anywhere.
Yeah, it's going to be 2.4 gigahertz Express LRS. Maybe I'm not sure if you could put a better antenna on there without compromising the waterproofing. Hopefully you could, although I'm not sure.
I don't know. Yeah, I think it would be hard to get to that UFL in there, I'm going to guess.
That's a shame. I mean, you really need to be able to get at the antenna because that antenna is going to, number one, that's not a great antenna. And number two, it is going to get chopped or damaged eventually. So that might be a little bit of an issue. The price is pretty reasonable if it holds up. All right. Way to go, DarwinFPV. Trying something different. Good for you, buddy. Next up, we've got a new ESC from Redux Air. Redux Air makes some of the highest performing, most durable ESCs in FPV. So when they release a new product, I don't think it's very easy to judge an ESC. Let's talk about this for a second. Little sidebar. All BLHeli32 ESCs perform basically the same. Agree or disagree?
Agree. Performance-wise, yeah.
Yeah. They're made from essentially a reference design. That's not to say that there isn't room for manufacturers to do it better or worse.
The difference is going to be filter caps. Like, I think the only difference I can imagine on an ESC really is like FET quality. Like, are you buying good FETs that are actually ready for the amps you said?
Yep.
And are you putting the correct amount of filter in caps so the flight controller is not getting a ton of noise into the gyro because the flight controller is not, it's not built to take that noise, right?
Yeah. And I would also say probably there's something to do with the PCB design that you lay out
like
the PCB
how the layering is done, and
Here's where I'm going with that though is if you buy a bunch of BLHeli32 ESCs, you put them on a quad and you fly one battery on them, I don't think you could tell the difference really. They all pretty much perform the same. Where they differ is in their durability, right? And that goes back to the things that we were just talking about. When you give me an ESC from a manufacturer like Acon, who has a years-long history of making bulletproof ESCs, I'm going to go, okay, whatever you're doing it right. And so, unfortunately, it's really impossible to judge ESC durability except by the manufacturer's reputation. And that's why when I see a Redux32, I go, this is a winner. When I see an Acon, I go, this is a winner. And so I think this is a winner. That's my argument. What do you think? You agree or disagree?
I've heard decent things about them, but I just don't know that many people running Reduxes. I think the amount of Reduxes out in the world is low compared to a lot of other ESCs.
That's fair.
I think it's interesting. They talk about how this was this is meant to be a race ESC, but this is just their newest version of it. And I don't know. It'll depend on who's buying it and what they're buying it for, but for the testing that I've seen and the people that are running them and conditions they are running them, and they seem very good.
Yeah. They were one of the first to do the oversized 20 millimeter ESCs with the regular 30 millimeter sized FETs, and that's what made them stand out. But they do a lot more than that, or so I'm told by the guy who owns the company to make them durable. Anyway, it better be durable because it's $110 for the ESC alone, and so if you blow it up, you're going to cry. But 128K, 60 amp rated. You need a high performance 20 millimeter ESC. I feel like this is one of the safe ones to go. Well, as long as we're talking about ESCs, let's talk about the T-Motor F60A Mini. This one stands out because it's an 8S rated ESC. You want to run 8S on a 20 millimeter ESC? Be my guest. But there you go. And again, Blunty, it goes back to the reputation of the manufacturer. I'm 99% sure that Acon makes T-Motor ESCs, and Acon has one of the best reputations in the biz. And so based on that, Again, $90 for an ESC hurts, but I feel like this definitely deserves to be brought to people's attention. Next category is going to be video transmitters, cameras, and video receivers. And we're going to start with the Walksnail Avatar, their 1S VTX. Supposed to be, you know, it's made to run off a 1S, presumably for tiny whoops. And is basically, it's just the same VTX, but with the heat sinks removed, as near as I can tell. It's not a full redesign or anything. 350 milliwatts output power.
Yeah, I think most people are going to be interested in weight. I think it's 6.8 grams for the VTX. It's the current weight there, so definitely getting lighter. Still going to be kind of heavy. I mean, compared to like HD0, I think HD0 is like 3 or 4 grams, 3 grams lighter, something like that. So definitely still going to be pretty heavy comparatively.
Is that 6.8 grams for the VTX only, or the VTX and the camera?
Pretty sure it's only VTX.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure that's the case.
Let's be clear about that, because that's a fair amount of fudge. Is the camera the same camera that's on the bigger one, or have they got a smaller camera?
I think the current camera is the same one that's on the bigger one. And so that may be another place where they can find a way to save weight at some point in the future.
It looks like they're doing the nano 14 millimeter camera, which you can also, I think you can also buy that with the big VTX. So they have a 19 and a 14 millimeter wide camera, but not like a little teeny tiny micro camera like the Walksnail Whoop VTX. So there's still room to get this weight down.
Yeah, like the HD0. Like the HD0 Whoop VTX camera is only 1.5 grams.
Yep.
So if they could get down there, that would be pretty cool.
Yeah. So it's nice to have an option. It's good to see them getting out there. Well within the range of something usable, although obviously the tiny whoop purists are going to say, oh, it's too heavy, it needs to be lighter. And of course, HD0 is really the choice for digital HD in a ultralight tiny whoop today. There's one more video transmitter we're going to look at. Another 2.5 watt video transmitter. Tell us about this one, Blunty.
So this is from PandaRC. We've seen a couple high-powered video transmitters come out lately. And yeah, this is just going to be another one. So if you want some high-powered analog video, this is a solution for you to get 2.5 watts. And, you know, as we mentioned in the last bit there about when we're talking about the AIOs, don't forget that you need 4 times the power to double the range. So while more power does help, you got to be, cognizant of where you're at currently and where you're going to.
Yeah. Yeah. The difference between like a 1.6 watt video transmitter, like the Rush Tank Solo or the Unify HV, and a 2.5 watt video transmitter, it's definitely, I don't know what the number is. It's going to be something like 10 or 12%. Don't hold me to that. But it's not going to be, I went from 1 watt to 2 watts. I must be getting like twice the range. It's not quite like that. I like that this has both 30 and 20 millimeter mounting. That's cute. It looks like these inner ones are probably 20 and these outer ones are 30. The whole thing's made of metal, so you got a lot of probably heat sink ability to help keep it cool. And I got lights and buttons on the outside to help you. And PandaRC has an okay track record of making budget, decent quality VTXs. Not the highest quality, but decent. $42 for this guy versus $60 for a Foxy or Reaper. That's a fair whack.
Yeah, so that's a good bit of price difference there.
All right,
for sure.
All right, next up, frames. We got a couple of interesting frames this month, Blunty. Where should we start?
First up, we'll take a look at Botgrinder's new frame. Botgrinder has the Demibot frame out now with this cool arm design, his cool protectors when you crash. Pretty neat stuff.
You mean these little spikes on the end are the motor protectors? Is that what you mean?
Yeah. Yeah, it's a nice flair to the design.
Very much so. Designed by Umagod. And Umagod, of course, makes good frames as well. At the end of the day, it looks like this is a super chonky school bus style frame. Top plate, bottom plate. Does it have a split deck design? I'm having a little trouble seeing from the picture. It does have a split deck design. So room in the front for the camera, but then a higher back deck to give you a little bit more centralized weight and durability. That's good. I like a split deck design. And everything is super chunky, so you can beat the crap out of it in a bando and not have it break. Does that basically sum it up?
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah, let's see. 3mm plates. All the frame plates are 3mm and the arms are 6mm. Somewhere out there, Chris Rosser is saying, but what about the resonance? And Botgrinder is saying, I don't care. It's pretty solid. How much is it? It's a lot of money. It's a lot of money. I guess there's a lot of carbon in it. $90. $90. Gotta really want that for $90.
A lot of carbon on my Source One V3 too.
Yeah, does it have 6mm arms? Like the Impulse RC Apex. $10 more for an Impulse RC Apex. Comes with a warranty. Oh, that's the Apex HD. That's tough. That's tough.
I mean, I've been a long proponent of there's no point in buying an expensive frame. So
yeah,
I would never buy this. So, personally. But I understand why people would.
It wouldn't be fair if I didn't look at my own frame. $70 for my frame. Too expensive for you, I know. It doesn't have 6mm arms. It's definitely not a bando basher.
Yeah.
That's tough. I think that this is, I think there's a lot to be said for, I mean, one of the things you could say about frames is how much room is there really to innovate. These designs are refined to a point where the best you can do in a lot of ways is just repeat that successful principles and get out of the way and not screw it up too much. So to say this is, a big chunky school bus frame is not really a criticism, obviously people want to support Botgrinder and that's what it is. I think $90 for this style of frame is asking a lot compared to some of the other stuff that's out there.
I'll say the same thing I do every time. Go buy a cheaper frame and donate money to Botgrinder.
That's what we said that about the slat motors. It's like, if you want to buy a pilot's motor to support them, that's fine. You're just putting money in their pocket and that's valid. You could also, by the time I'm paying $90 or $100 for a frame, I really think you have some very, very compelling options that unless they're getting wrecked, the markup is like 100% there. You know what I mean? And that's where like my issue comes in. Because I know what it costs to cut carbon. I've talked to multiple people who cut frames in China and other places. Like I know what prices are. Unless you're getting wrecked and you're shopping somewhere that's crazy, you're paying too much if you have to charge $90 for a frame. The counter argument is that you got to pay for the design time. You're not just paying for the carbon. You're paying for, to design and Botgrinder to test.
But that means that this has to be that much better than every other frame. That means you have to pay for the design for a reason. Just because you spent time on a design does not validate it. It just means you spent time on a design. I can spend 40 hours designing something tomorrow. It doesn't mean you have to pay money for it if it's not better than everything else.
Right. So the Apex comes out. The Apex was not the very first split deck frame. I think that was the Reverb, but someone will remember. If you know a frame that used the split deck design before the Reverb, put it in the comments. Haha, engagement. But you look at the Apex and you compare it to the frames that were out there at the time the Apex came out, and I think it's fair to say that that was a leap forward. And now many of the things that the Apex and sort of introduced to the public consciousness, like the split deck design, it's like, okay, we got that. That's in our toolbox. And we go, okay, I'm going to design a frame. Is it going to be a split deck? I don't have to invent that from scratch. At which point you look at something like this and go, how much went in there and how much is it worth to me?
And again, it's a question of I don't doubt they spent time designing it. Mm-hmm. I just question what that time was spent on and whether it was worth the value that you're spending on this frame. I think that's the problem for me. Right? Yeah. Like, I don't question that anybody spent time or spent any work or tried or did anything. But the difference is the cost. If you're talking cost of carbon versus cost of design, you're asking me to spend money on design. When I look at this frame, I do not see some magical new design thing that costs $60 extra or $40 extra or whatever number you think it costs.
Especially because a frame like the Apex is going to come with a warranty. Because I think it's a two-year one replacement. That's at least one replacement, one full replacement of the frame. So you spend $110 on the Apex, and you're basically getting two Apexes for the price if you break it. And by the way, my frame also doesn't come with a warranty. That makes you buy the Apex instead of my frame. More power to you. Like I don't want anybody to think I'm being unfair here.
You can get 3 source lens for that price.
There you go. But not with 6. Somewhere out there, someone's got a 6mm arm for the Source One. I mean, it's open source, so
for sure.
All right. Next up, we got the Fly533, Evan Turner's company. We got the 533 Spec7. Spec7. What is the Spec7? Oh, is this for Street League?
Yeah, well, this is their take on beefy 7-inch Spectra. So I'm not sure if it fits in a Street League. I haven't. They don't describe very strongly exactly what's going on with it. Like, there's no weight, for instance, listed anywhere to tell me. But my understanding is the goal is, yes, to make this in a Spec 7. So the other, the rumor going around, we still don't have any official information about what MLDR is, Major League Drone Racing. But from the understanding is that's also Spec 7s. And so if that's the case, it's very possible that this is bracketed for both MLDR and for Street League.
Street League. So. Blunty, or maybe Evan Turner's just going to make his own Spec 7-inch league. He made the Tiny Trainer League, and he made the 533 Freedom Spec. So who knows what he's up to? But apparently people are really into racing high-performance 7-inch drones. More power to him. There's a very interesting arm design for this one. This is one of the innovations that he's brought to the table here. So if we take a look at the arms, they actually come basically in 2 halves that come together to form a truss.
Yeah. They also offer 2 different versions of the arm. So there's I believe it's a shorter and a longer version of the arm, and they call it a light and a long arm configuration. So you can either try to get closer to the gate, or you can get those wider, more air kind of versions of the frame. So that's kind of cool.
The advantage of that arm configuration is that it lets you cut the carbon optimally. Normally, when you do a triangle like that, the orientation of the fibers wouldn't be right. Wouldn't be ideal, but by making the arm in 2 pieces, and I think Chris Rosser was the first one I saw to suggest that, or maybe it was Bob Ruge. I know both of them have proposed a design like that. I don't remember who did it first, but credit there. So
next up, we've got a new frame from HaloRC. We might know HaloRC from some of the naked Blackmagic stuff they've done and cinema camera stuff. Today, we've got the Horus frame kit. So it's their new Horus frame, and it's meant to carry their naked cinema cameras. It's their new frame meant to carry their Blackmagic naked 4K and 6KEs.
Oh,
so
I see.
The sole purpose of this frame, they build it just to carry those kits. So.
I was looking at it going, is this frame upside down? No, it's not. It's designed for, is it designed? I don't see them using it in an X8 configuration, so it looks like it's quad design. Yeah. But to carry a cinema camera, and specifically to carry their naked cinema cameras.
Yeah, absolutely. They also talk about how they basically built in 2 7mm thick carbon spines in the center to stop it from vibrating. It creates more rigidity across the frame and stuff. So basically, it's literally just a purpose-built frame. You don't buy this unless you're putting one of their kits or a very similar kit on it, pretty much. But if you do have or need one of those, it seems like it's very well purpose-built for that kind of stuff. So
yeah,
pretty cool.
Yeah, for those who don't know what we're talking about, HaloRC also sells kits to make your own, or I believe they'll sell you a pre-built kit with the camera included, although that's often out of stock. You can buy this naked Sony Z-Cam, or they'll do a naked Blackmagic Pocket Cinema 6K or a 4K for your cinema recording needs. And of course, that can be put on any frame you want, but it's specifically designed to fit this frame. I always wonder, Blunty, how big the cinema market is. There's only room for so many working professionals. Now that number is growing as more and more film and commercial productions reach out to FPV pilots, but it seems like it'll never be as big as the hobby market. And I always wonder if it's 1% or 5%. It also seems like everybody I know is doing cinema stuff, but that's just because all my friends are pros. I don't know. What's your perspective on that?
I would say it's definitely more like 1% or less, for sure, doing that kind of work. I mean, it's going to be relatively niche comparatively, and it's so costly and risky. to fly stuff like that around, especially if you aren't super experienced. So, yeah, I don't know. It's definitely getting more and more popular, and it will only get more and more popular as more people, understand the need and desire for shots like that. Yeah, and ways to do stuff with cinema stuff. So.
Yeah, there's only so many people who can afford to fly a $5,000 camera. Now, you're just not going to, I don't think you're going to see hobbyists doing that, but, I see people saying, I can't afford to fly a GoPro in this day and age. So, anyway.
Yeah.
Cool stuff HaloRC is doing. And then speaking of companies that do cool stuff, AxisFlying. Always doing cool stuff. No, I don't always agree with it, but I'm always like, oh, I see you over there, AxisFlying. What do we got here?
We have the AxisFlying CineOn, which is our new Cinewhoop frame, the 3.5-inch Cinewhoop frame. This is a frame and motor combo, so they sell it with the motors, then you buy all the rest of the stuff separately. Kind of an interesting idea there. And $100 isn't not bad for 4 motors plus a frame.
No, not at all. It's a plastic. Is it a plastic frame? I mean, the frame is carbon, but the guards are plastic, right?
It appears the guards are plastic, yeah, and the frame is carbon, and it's sort of like it's almost like a small little 3.5-inch built on top of a plastic like body. It's kind of strange, but they talk about fast disassembly, which I guess is good. But I'm not sure is like the thing I'm going for in a cinematic thing. I'm not too worried about disassembly. I'm worried about flight performance and how well it can hold a camera and vibration and all that kind of stuff. So,
I mean, maintenance matters. Ease of maintenance does matter, but it, of course, has to perform first. I see the plastic guards, and I think it looks like they're all a single piece, doesn't it?
Yeah, there's 2 and 2, so the left and right pieces.
Okay.
Yeah.
So not too bad to replace it. Durability of the plastic and impact is, of course, going to be a big question. Only testing can really reveal that. They do have some clever that's not a simple injection mold. Look at what they've done here with these little struts across the center. They put a lot of thought into it and a lot of work into it. $100.
One thing, I think that's what we've seen a lot from Axis. Whether it works or not, it seems like they spend a lot of time like trying to make stuff that will be cool.
Yep.
Or that they think will be cool, right? They're not like just pumping out generic BS like a bunch of companies are. Some of their stuff sort of is, but like a lot of their stuff has been, we look at the Colas, the folding frame that they had, and now they've got a folding frame that folds the other way. And, we saw the DigiView box that they developed specifically for the thing, but then they dropped. And like, there's just so much of they're at least trying, I think was sort of how you started this segment. And I do agree. They're at least trying, though. I don't think that this would be near the top of my list to purchase for a Cinewhoop.
Yeah, I agree. It's why I have mixed feelings about them, because like it's clear that they're over there thinking of cool things to do and then doing them. It doesn't always result in something that I think is the actual best product to buy, but I feel bad about that because we also are super critical of companies that just crank out the same rubber stamped bullshit. And it's a very difficult sort of needle to thread. Right? Yeah. We're impossible to please, I guess, is the takeaway.
I mean, so far it's felt like Axis is very much on the opposite side of a lot of companies, where let's just make it and see what happens, which as long as they can stay in business and that works for them as a business model, then I think that's good. Yeah.
All righty. We're going to move on to a couple of bind and fly plug and play quads today. We got another product from DarwinFPV. This is their Hulk waterproof cinematic FPV drone. So first of all, is it truly waterproof? Or have they just put some floaties on a drone?
Well, they're claiming it's IP67. So.
Oh, because they're using that flight controller that we talked about earlier.
I believe they are, yes. I was trying to look for that, but they don't specifically list that, but I believe it is that flight controller, yes.
And I know this is super nitpicky, but I can't help but notice this solder joint right here. Do you see how far back that wire is stripped?
Yep.
I'm just saying, this is your product shot. Should really be perfect. But okay, let's just assume they put conformal on that. and all the other plugs.
So I guess it makes sense if they're IP67 and they got floats on it. They're going, well, you can't get it under a meter, so we're going to be within our range, you know.
Yeah.
So that's smart.
So we should get one and we should dunk it in the water and then see if it, you know, see how it handles it, right? Different. Look, this is a different one. Those joints look pretty good. They actually look pretty good.
If you're in salt water, I think I would be worried.
You're done. Salt water is going to corrode everything. That's a fact. I would test this out. I should check my email and see if they reached out to me to ask if I wanted to fly this. Because I probably was like, I don't know. But looking at it, I think that'd be interesting to see if it like can go in the water. Fascinating. How much is it? HD version will come soon. Oh, give me a break. $439 for the HD version, $359 for the analog. That's actually that's a completely reasonable markup for DJI. Analog version 6S, propeller. Why spang prop? Why spang props? Why would you put spang props on a cinematic 5-inch?
I got no answer for you there. I don't have any clue.
Okay. That doesn't make any sense, but all right. Don't need a battery.
Okay, this is a little... I'm glad you did this, because this is odd. They're saying... Hold on, they're claiming the motors are waterproof, but isn't that just every motor?
Every motor's waterproof. Yes.
It says the Hulk 2204.5 waterproof motor. 2204.5. So it's on.
No, but it says here, waterproof cinematic FPV drone. So here they're claiming the drone is waterproof.
Yes. They're just also saying they've listed for some reason the motor is waterproof.
I mean, all right, well, 2204.5? Why a 2204 motor? What are you doing? That doesn't make any sense. Now we understand the 4.9-inch props because that 2204 motor is going to... But this guy's a chunker, right? This is clearly a heavy. What's the weight? Give me the weight. Weight.
720.
It says 632 with 6S battery and GoPro 8.
Yeah.
632. I mean, that's not a very big motor. I cannot understand why they would have the motor be that small. This is a weird product. And what is the Hulk Care card? What is that? What is Hulk Care? Never mentioned again anywhere else on the page. All right, well, it's $10 extra. I think I'm going to pass.
Presumably that's like, if it does break in the water when we told you it wouldn't, we'll help you.
I don't believe that for 10. I don't think they could cover that for $10 if it was any meaningful kind of insurance. But that was my first thought too.
You get a discount. Wait, what?
Okay, for $10, I get the Hulk Care card. Order a card, you save 25%. You get a 25% discount code on the drone. Oh, no. Oh, what you do, Blunty, is you buy the drone and you buy the Hulk Care card for $10. Then if you blow it up, you get on the next one for 25% off.
I see.
Okay. So basically you pay $10 now to lock you into buying it 2 more times because of the sunk cost fallacy. I'm going to guess that their actual margin is higher than 25%, so they still make money on it.
Yeah, so you pay $10 to save like $115 if you buy it again.
I mean, look.
If you were planning to do it.
And it has an expiration date, 1 year.
Yeah, you got to use it within a year.
I mean, hey, if I think I'm going to put my drone in the water, there's a fair chance I'm going to lose it or destroy it. Although if it's truly waterproof, that shouldn't happen.
Yeah, but in this case, you could buy a new one even just to have a second one. You know, like there's no requirement to like.
I'm going to buy the Hulk Care card. I'm going to immediately buy 2 more today because I'm not going to take a chance on that year expiring. And then I'm going to sell them on FPV Exchange. And I'm going to make 15%. You going to give me 25% margin? I'll undercut you.
And DarwinFPV is like, it's still all above our margin. Go for it. We're stoked.
All right. Enough about that. We're going to move on. Right. What's next?
Next up, we're going to look at Fractal Engineering's lineup. They've got some binding flies out we wanted to show you, and they're in stock, so that's pretty cool. Sometimes it's hard to get stock, and hopefully they'll still have stock when this comes out, but we wanted to let you know. So they've got the Wingman kit, which is like the Nano long range style, but it's their own frame version of that.
Interesting.
So they've got some of these kits for the 18650 snap, and if you haven't seen them, you take an 18650 battery, You just snap it right in the little case there, and you fly it around. It's a good time. This also folds, so you can, hide it and make it more convenient.
It's already tiny.
It can be even tinier.
Do the arms lock in place, or are they just friction fit?
Sure.
Oh, we got a little. Look at this. Look at this. We got a little pin here of some kind.
Oh yes, I see. So you pull in and out, right? And then that's how it sticks in there, maybe.
What do the rear arms do?
Probably the same on the bottom frame, on the on the other.
Yes, that's very clever. Okay, I'm very impressed. Yeah, it's cute. I guess for something like this, you'd want to be able to stuff it in your pocket, I suppose.
For friction fit with a light detent is how it works. So you pull the arms out until the detent clicks and push them back in when you're done.
Yeah. And normally I criticize folding arm drones for a compromise in durability, but this style of frame has no freaking durability to begin with. If you crash it, you're having a bad day. So sure, doesn't really cost you anything to do that. Very clever. Any others that stood out to you, Blunty?
Yeah, he's also got in stock the 65 and the 75 kit. So if you were looking for the Fractal 65 or the Fractal 75, you can get the binoflies of both of those as well. They're pretty popular whoops. They're more lightweight designs and stuff. So pretty cool stuff. And I believe they are all in stock or will be very soon. So.
Yeah, if you want an ultra lightweight 65 or 75 millimeter whoop, at like something like Mr. Shutterbug might build, or like Fractal obviously would build, then this is one of the only places I know of to buy a bind and fly like this. So check it out. Let's talk motors. We have only one set of motors that we're going to talk about, and we're going to drag it through the mud. This is the iFlight Zing 2 1806. What's to dislike? Zing 2 iFlight makes great motors. 1806, very interesting size of motor for a certain application, but we hate this motor, don't we, Blunty?
Yeah, for a couple of reasons. The first thing would be, I think a lot of people in general would just be complaining about the fact that this is T-mount, right? So just in general, the idea that an 1806 with this spec and stuff is T-mount is probably not the best option for a lot of people. Typically, you just want a normal mount here, maybe T-mount, but like you're going to worry about stripping stuff.
Or FPV Cycle M3 mount.
Correct. Yeah, or one of those kind of options. However, let's say we're okay with T-mount, and then we buy these motors. Well, you're going to get them home, and then you're going to find out that these are not standard T-mount. These are iFlight T-mount. These are iFlight's new T-mount, and they are 6x6 T-mount.
They have a unique 6x6 propeller mount spacing that works specifically with the new iFlight Nazgul 5030 props. Unique equals proprietary equals it doesn't work with any other T-mount props except this one, which, now hang on, Blunty. Let's not rush to judgment. Don't you see how much better these are than any other T-mount prop that you've ever seen before? Why, look at them. Can't you see the difference?
For anybody who doesn't know, a typical T-mount is 5x5. So these have gone an extra millimeter for presumably what they think is durability or leverage or whatever you're going to get from that. I don't understand what they think you would get. But my current understanding, I have no idea what you would get, and I don't understand the point behind this. And as we've said many times, and I think many people would agree, making a new proprietary T-mount size makes basically no sense, especially when you're not even listing why you're doing it.
Yeah. I'm not going to buy a motor. Like, I believe that this is a good motor. I'm not going to buy a motor that locks me into exactly one prop that exists in the world. Never mind the fact that it might be hard to get spares. I just, don't see a point. If you're going to give me something that breaks compatibility, it must have a very compelling advantage. And they're like, okay, it's a little, like, one of the complaints about T-mount props is they constantly break at the shaft, at the hub, especially when you get up into the 4-inch and 5-inch sizes. Valid. So did iFlight say, okay, we're going to make a thicker hub that's more durable? I maybe, but my God, make it thicker, but leave the 5 millimeter spacing. I don't know. I just don't see it.
And as I've complained about many times before, nowhere on any of these pages does it describe that.
Exactly.
If there was a reason, if they did that, if they felt like it was going to be better, if they tested and saw that hubs broke at 5 and didn't break at 6, then that's all information that should be on this page to let us know information about the motor.
Yeah. Why is this better? Make a case for yourself. I have already had somebody, I can't remember if it was an email or on a live stream. I have already had somebody say, I bought this motor and my props don't work. Yep. It's happening. Justify iFlight. At the very least, you have to communicate. Like, okay, so 1/2 a gold star for actually putting this on the product listing. Okay.
I agree with that.
Kudos. You need to make a case for it, but more fundamentally, you really need to have a compelling reason to do this. There's literally one prop in the world that works with this motor, and that is just that's a non-starter. So sorry, iFlight.
Yes.
Cool. All right. I feel much, but we got our, 5 minutes of hate out. Now let's move on to something we're happy about, something positive. Oh, good. I'm so glad you got this product. I was just thinking 5 minutes ago, they sent me this. And I was like, oh, did we overlook it? And I should have known you hadn't overlooked it. Tell us about it, Plenty.
Yeah, so this is the new Vifly Whoop series board, a balanced charging board, but this is a little different than the Whoop store that we're familiar with. So Vifly came out with the Whoop store recently, which is I think you said on a recent live stream, is basically your favorite one as Whoop charger, and I agree. I think it's, other than the fact that it can't take full 6S, it is probably one of the best products out there for doing what you needed to do. It's $35 depending on where you buy it. And it can charge PH2 or BT2. You can do it right there from internally. The difference is the Whoop store has it all built in. So all the electronics and charger is built into the board. With this new Vifly Whoop series board, it says, hey, you've probably got a charger. So use your charger and do similar stuff, but with your charger.
Yeah, the argument people make about the Vifly Whoop store is, why would you buy a whole separate charger just for your Whoop batteries when you already have a charger? Instead, you should buy something like this. This is the Fractal Engineering series balanced charging board. And this is the Flying Sandal series board. It's called a parallel board, but that's a misnomer. And all of these let you charge, like you said, your 1S batteries off your big charger. These are all great products, by the way, and I love them. The big difference with the Vifly board is that normally you've got a jumper right here to tell it how many batteries you've plugged in, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Or I believe Flying Sandal does it slightly differently. I think they have, this is the V2. Flying Sandal is a slightly different way of doing it. It's not important. But the difference is that with the Vifly board, they have this knob here that lets you do basically the same thing. And it supports both BT 2.0 and PH 2.0, which the Fractal, I think that, who is it? Who makes the LED whoop gates?
WeBleed?
Yeah, I think WeBleed sells the Fractal board with the BT 2.0s pre-installed.
Yeah, you can choose, I believe, when you order those.
Yeah.
The only problem I have with the Vifly, really, other than, you can kind of choose which ones you want to use, basically, is that the knob is so tall. It just seems ridiculous.
It's going to take up space.
Not really, it doesn't make any sense. Like, why would you put a giant knob on the top? Like, everything else about it is short, but doesn't seem to help anything. It could be a switch. It doesn't have to be a giant knob.
I will say, these came in the mail like 2 days ago, and I took it out, and I spent like 5 minutes going click, 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 click. I will say it's a nice little, they just sourced, these knobs. They're not bad knob.
The other thing we should note is that the other big difference here is you can order this in GNB. So there is a GNB version of this that you can order, and I believe that one does not also have PH2. It is just GNB. But yeah, that's something that's not available in other places.
Yeah, if you're one of those weirdos who has decided GNB 2.7 is the connector for you, then here you go. This is the only GNB 2.7 series board in existence. I'll just say it.
Okay. Fair enough.
That we know of. Fine. All right. Very cool. All right. We'll do a little bit of a rush here.
Now The TS101 we have to take a second on because we got to make fun of it.
Oh, I won't pass up an opportunity to make fun of a product.
They did another.
Hang on. Don't spoil it. Don't spoil it.
Okay.
Don't save it.
Yep.
Save it for me.
Okay.
All right. So the TS101. Here's what we'll do: is I have seen this briefly. It's the update of the TS100, an excellent portable soldering iron. When I looked at it, I was like, it's a little bit bigger. It's a little bit chunkier in the hand. It has updated firmware, a few other features, but at the end of the day, it seemed like a sort of an incremental upgrade to the TS100. It's got USB PD power, so you could power it from a USB power bank. The TS100 didn't used to have that, but for the most part, it looks like, okay, little upgrade. And it didn't really like jump out to me like, I must have this. But it also didn't jump out to me as, I hate this, we must make fun of it. So what did I miss?
We have long talked about, I don't know if poor translation is the word or just English marketing, but that doesn't make much sense in English.
Okay.
And they have done it again. Okay. On the TS101. If you'll scroll down a little bit, we've got two good ones, I think. So this is the first one here. Surpassing myself is the self-cultivation of a real smart soldering iron.
Fair enough. That's I see. I know you have a real soft spot for that kind of Chinese to English marketing speak.
No idea what that means. No idea what that means. Surpassing myself is the self-cultivation.
Yeah.
Of a real smart soldering iron.
Yeah.
But the good one is if you scroll all the way down to the bottom.
Accurate control, intelligent protections, more smart operations. It knows what you need, Blunty. Oh, it knows what you need. That sounds kind of a little suggestive. Ooh, it knows what I need.
Overall, I think there's a lot of great things about this the soldering iron, by the way.
I love how they're soldering on this motherboard. Hold on, I must add a capacitor to this motherboard, like you do.
Like you do, yeah. Without
each small setting is considerate of your need. That's not too bad. More humanized. No. This is actually pretty good.
I was very surprised. I think somebody wrote that. Yeah.
Bigger soldering joints are just a piece of cake. That's actually correct use of that phrase. We're going to keep going. Yep. Okay. Where am I going, Plenty?
A little farther. Next one there.
A cat-like anti-slip cap, quick dismount anti-slip. It's just being cute. I guess it must come from a cat designer.
Yeah. So some interesting choices on the marketing and stuff, as we always see from stuff like this. But overall, seems like this is a pretty good upgrade to the TS100 so far.
Oh, hang on. Yeah. Oh, look, it's got a spring-loaded. It's not a screw connection. It got a spring-loaded dismount for the tip. That's actually pretty cool. That's nice.
You push on the cat and then yeah.
$60, $57 from TBS. Banggood, fake result. They don't actually have it. Well done, Banggood. Your website is good at stealing my hits. Yeah, look, here's a search result for things you didn't ask for.
Yeah, so it seems like it's going to be the same price. Right around that $66.
Yeah. So there's the Secure soldering iron, Secure. There's some of them that come in closer to 40, 45 and are still pretty good. I think the SQ001 is the one I'm thinking of. Very similar. It's a little cheaper and still pretty good. But I guess what we would need to know that we may not know is, does this soldering iron, does it have like some of them have gray market chips or the voltage regulator isn't quite up to spec? Is this one, when you pay the extra money for this one, are you at least getting like a fully legit, fully functional, no issues soldering iron?
Right. Well, we could hope so. I think there was recently an issue with TS100s coming with counterfeit chips. So it's hard to know if the BOM is better on the TS101 or not. I don't think we've heard anything about that. So,
does it take 6S voltage? That alone will make me want to buy it. 9 to 24 volts. Well, not technically. One brave person to plug a 6S battery in and see if it fries, I guess. Alrighty. That's the TS101.
Yeah.
All right. We got two more things I want to throw out before we get to the giveaway. Two small things that I think are worth your attention. The first is the iFlight Blitz practice soldering board. Every single person who gets into the hobby doesn't know how to solder. Then they buy a $80 flight controller, and then they decide that's the right way to learn how to solder, and then they F it up, and then they are sad because they made poor decisions with their life. Don't do that. Don't be that person. Use a practice soldering board for $2.
It's literally $2. I mean, if you're already ordering, please add a practice soldering board on. Like, I see so much soldering every day, and it's not that it's like it's not that you're like not smart or whatever. It's that you literally haven't done it before.
Right.
So just take the practice board, take a few wires, solder them first, and then you don't have that on your first ESC ever.
And if that looks like shit, don't solder on your flight controller.
Exactly. And if it happens to look good, you spent $2. Oh well. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, that's where I'm at.
Do you know this? This is not just in soldering, but in life, Blunty. There's a thing that you want to do, and there's a prerequisite to that thing. And you try the prerequisite and you suck at it. And then you're just like, you know what? I'm just going to go for it. Because you're so excited to do the thing. Yeah. And it doesn't work. I mean, sometimes you get away with it. Sometimes you bake a loaf of bread and your loaf of bread tastes like shit and you're out a couple cups of flour. But sometimes you're out a $90 flight controller, and that's a little bit of a different equation. So
yeah, absolutely.
There's other practice soldering boards out there. They're fine. There's I think Maytech makes one. Diatone makes one. This one's $2. Has a lot of the common pad types that we see on flight controllers, and throw it in the kit. The other thing I want to throw out is this. This is the Lumenier 14-in-1 FPV hex screwdriver. And I said when I saw it, these bits alone are worth $55. I'm going to buy this. I'm going to put them in my Black & Decker electric screwdriver, and I'm going to throw this handle away because I'm never going to touch it. If you try to, these actually are really good quality bits. I've known people that had what I think is this exact same bit set. And you can't buy these bits for this cheap. So if you agree, $55, well worth picking up. That's my opinion. Okay, let's move on to the giveaway. What are we giving away this month? That's what let's do. Let's give away the Fractal Engineering Wingman, or your choice, the Fractal Engineering 75 Bind and Fly. We just said they're in stock. Well, let's fix that. So here's how it's going to work. Down in the video description below the video, there is a link to, first of all, a link to all the products that we've reviewed. If you want to check those out, those are affiliate links. Click those links before you make any purchase at the affiliated store. It's a way to get a little commission, and it's an easy way to support the channel. It doesn't cost you anything. Down below all that stuff is a Google form link where you can enter the giveaway. I will announce the giveaway winners in a pinned comment below this video and in a community post on my YouTube page's community thread. When you see that announcement, make sure that it's coming from a outlined account with a check mark next to it. That's my verified account. There will be scammers down there telling you that you won a prize, trying to get you to go onto Telegram and give them money. That's not me. Don't fall for it. Sorry. The actual winners will be posted by me in a pinned comment. You'll get your choice, Fractal Wingman or the Fractal Bind and Fly. Let's do 3 of them. Three winners. Thank you, Plenty. Another fun month of new products. Always good to do this with you, man.
Yeah, absolutely. And we'll be back next month, as we are every month, to give you some more cool new products in the next new product roundup.
Cool. See you next month, everybody.